looking at me. I'm looking back.
Hi, how are you? Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Welcome back to our channel.
Today we're filming another video in our Women Empowerment series where we highlight and showcase women and their professions to give you the inside scoop on them.
Today I'm very proud to introduce to you Amanda Sims. She's an interior designer and she works with a builder here in the Austin, Texas area. So welcome to the interview.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's a pleasure. So first question, how did you get into this?
How did I get into this? Well, I've always been into art history, design. I love experiencing spaces, just really interesting concepts. And first of all, I wanted to be an artist. But then, it's very, very tough to make it as an artist. So then I was like, let's just do interior design. And I loved learning about all the things that make a space beautiful and livable. And it's not just the feeling you get, but it's like the science behind design and why we interact with spaces in a certain way and how.
And that's what I also feel, that interior design is not just art, it is a science.
It's a science.
Yeah.
It's almost like a puzzle, it's a puzzle that involves people, which is completely fascinating to me. How someone's going to live in their home, how someone's going to interact with a space in a commercial setting. It's incredible to see how that can influence people and kind of change their lives in a way.
So what do you focus on? Do you focus on homes or do you focus on commercial properties?
I've kind of done the gamut in my career. I've worked in an art consulting firm where we did hospital art. So Memorial Hermann in Houston was our biggest client, and we got to design like labor and delivery wings, and and we got to work with artists that completed original pieces for all different areas of the hospitals, which I thought was incredible because these people are coming to a place to heal and or to have a child, and it's a focus for them. It helps in a way, just calm them or make them feel a certain
to be in a pretty place when you're delivering a child. I think
it's incredible. It's nice. So I love doing that, and so now I'm in the residential design area. So, working with buyers on building their homes and designing their homes. So
so let's start at the beginning then. To become an interior designer, what are the education qualifications that are required?
Well, you have to have a 4-year degree from an accredited university, and when I say accredited, it's oh my gosh, I'm just drawing a blank. It's a body that governs what kind of curriculum the school teaches. So they review the curriculum and then they say you are accredited, you're not accredited. I think it's CIDA.
Okay.
And you have to go to a school that is accredited. That way, whenever your education is complete, you sit for a test and then you get licensed.
Okay.
And so then once that happens, you have to do much like any other professional licenses. You have to do learning, like education courses throughout your career to kind of keep your license updated. But really, it's a 4-year.
So it's not like one and done. Like it's not like you do your course and then you're licensed for the rest of your life.
No, you have to keep your knowledge updated. I mean, there's so many advancements in not just technology, but materials used in the home and ways of designing and ways of building, and you have to kind of keep that knowledge base, current.
Okay. So. And so you go through a 4-year course, and how much would that course cost?
It just depends on the school. I mean, really anything from $25,000 normally. You can go up to $60,000, $100,000. It just depends on really where you go.
Yeah.
I know, UT has a very strong interior design school here that kind of partners with the School of Architecture. So, I mean, the education at UT is not inexpensive, but it will vary depending on.
So those of you in Austin, UT Austin has an interior designer course. Just for your information. We're putting it out there, so if you're interested, you can apply there to become an interior designer, and it is not as expensive as privately held universities. Okay. So, you had an artistic background and you chose this as your field of work. So I think Jan has an important question now, right?
What is the most fun part of your job and what is the most disliked part of your job?
The funnest part of my job is that I get to work with people when they're buying a home. And so that's, as an adult, that is one of the biggest decisions you can make. And it typically signifies a huge shift in your life. You either having a baby, getting a new job, moving to a different location. And so it's a big change. And getting to design a home from scratch with people that are going through this is simultaneously difficult because it's a big decision and there are a lot of parts and pieces to a home that people don't think about. But it's also incredible to have, a part in that moment of their lives. It's so, it could be life changing for them. So.
What internships did you do like after college to get into the business?
Yeah, I started with, when I was in college, I started with just a small furniture company in Beaumont. And we would do things like style the showroom, we'd change up the product, we'd meet with buyers and select drapery fabrics and fabrics for, couches and stuff like that. So it was just a light kind of dipping my toe into like the more retail side of it. And then right out of college, my first job was actually designing model homes. So I got to travel the country, design model homes with Taylor Morrison and Syntax were some of our biggest clients. And that was really fun because
so coming to what you're saying about designing furniture and working with drapery and designing houses, what are the topics that you're studying in school? Like what is it that you study that gives you that gamut of experience to do these things? I mean, what are the subjects basically?
Yeah. Well, you start with the fundamentals. I mean, learning about interior design is a lot of learning about art and why we perceive art as beautiful or why we perceive a space as beautiful. It's about balance, pattern, repetition. You learn those fundamentals and then you can start to apply them in your design work. So you learn about fabrics and what makes a fabric better for a certain application than another. You learn about lighting and how important lighting is and how vastly underestimated lighting is in terms of a space. That is one of my biggest things as a designer is like lighting is so important.
Yeah, I agree.
But really it's taking all of these kind of variant things and applying them in a way that, designs a space that not only can perform well for your clients, but really influence their lives, make their lives better, more comfortable, more beautiful.
What are the soft skills required?
When you say soft skills, what do you mean by that?
Do you need to be friendly? Do you need to be
basic skills?
Absolutely. I think being able to really listen to clients is incredibly important. And not only listen, but like read into what they're saying. And a lot of times being almost like a marriage counselor, to go in between people that have different tastes and kind of be like, okay, well, let's take this aspect of this and put it together with this, and now you're both happy. So negotiating is an incredible skill to have. Just being able to kind of relate to people, be warm and approachable and that kind of thing. But also organized.
Yeah.
Organization is just huge in every aspect of your life, I'm sure you know. But to be able to, I think listening is probably one of the most important things, and letting people understand that they're heard. Is critical.
And do you use any specific programs? Because I know there's like CAD out there to like kind of get it visualized for like.
Yeah. Right now in my current job, I don't use a whole lot of. I mean, AutoCAD is what you will learn how to do. Essentially, it's a program that architects use to build plans. And there's a bunch of different ways there's AutoCAD, there's Revit. That's a kind of a 3D modeling program. You can create beautiful design for Revit. There's Google SketchUp. Also another tool that architects use.
Yeah, we use that in school. Now to get visualized for like desks and stuff to make for class.
Yeah. You can take that and I think there's like a licensed version where you just amplifies anything you can do. It's incredible how far technology's advanced even since I graduated school in 2006.
So being technology savvy is really important.
Yes. The Adobe suite, like Photoshop, InDesign, those types of things, critical for design now. Like those were not used a whole lot whenever I was in school specifically for interior design. But I think knowing those and being able to utilize those in a really in-depth way is huge to being successful in this business.
So which company are you working for now?
I work for Ashton. We are I think the third largest privately held home builder.
Okay.
We're in Austin. We're in all kinds of markets across the country. You know,
Wow.
North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Arizona. Like, you know, we've just got.
So what made you decide that you wanted to join this particular company?
Well, I had kind of worked for a few different home builders throughout
Yeah.
my career, starting in 2015 with Standard Pacific, and then Standard Pacific merged with Streetman, then we merged with Ryland and became Cal Atlantic, and then Cal Atlantic was purchased by Lennar, and so like all these different iterations of home builders, I worked for them. But Ashton Woods just had a really different feel for me than the other companies.
Yeah.
First of all, they're privately held, so really, and design is the cornerstone of the company, and I love that. Like, I feel like in the other iterations of my profession, it was seen as not quite as important,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But here, I feel like design is again the cornerstone, and it's critical to what we do. And I feel like my role as the studio manager is valued, incredibly valued.
So what about Ashton Woods would you say is a positive aspect for you to keep engaging or being in the company when people are looking at, you know, getting internships or whatever?
Yeah.
What should they be looking at that you find so positive in Ashton Woods that they should be looking at other companies as well?
Well, I think it's important to being a smaller company. Like, I work for, you know, mom and pop shops with just a handful of employees, and I work for the big companies that have like all these employees across the country, and finding a balance for you, I think, is important. If you want to be like working for Gensler, for instance, Gensler is like a huge worldwide corporation, and they've got offices all over the world, and they do incredible work. So if you want to work in a corporate environment, I think Gensler would be a good company to look at because they're giant. But for me, I like more of a family atmosphere and a place where I can feel like I make an impact. You know, like with smaller companies, you can do that. You feel like you have a bigger role.
And do you work a lot with architects side by side with them to try
We
to
do.
work out the plans?
Yeah. We actually have an architect on staff, and he and I work kind of in tandem. We did a project where we selected new exterior colors and stone, put together some palettes for our homes to give them kind of a branded look. So when you're looking at, you know, driving through a community, that's an Ashton Woods, that's an Ashton Woods. You know, it's having that, it's dovetailing with marketing. But he and I worked on that project. He creates floor plans for our buyers. So we very much kind of these together.
And what's your favorite project that you've worked on?
My favorite project? Oh man, there's so many. There's really a whole lot because my career has just been all over the place. Like, I loved being in the art consulting industry because I loved, like I said, I wanted to be an artist, and getting to work with artists and creating artwork for different places. It's just incredible. The first thing that comes to mind is a hospital I worked on in, I think it was in Kentucky, but I commissioned this gorgeous piece from this artist that I'd been a huge fan of, and it was like this beautiful, like, giant, almost like watercolor with it wasn't watercolor, it was of water, but it was just incredibly gorgeous, and I was so excited to see that in person. And then, gosh, in terms of home design, I worked with this really lovely couple down in the Avanya Estates community when I worked at Cal Atlantic. The Fridays, they are just incredible people, and I loved getting to work with them and design their home, and they're just the loveliest people you could ever meet, and you know, still wish I could see them. You know, it's hard. Like, you work with these clients, and you kind of fall in love with them. They're like, oh, this is amazing. We're together, and you build their home, and then you hear the feedback from them, and they're like, I love this, and you know, then you really don't. I haven't really seen them since, and
that's a crazy dog.
I should reach out.
That's a crazy dog trying to get into seeing who's in the house.
Cutie.
Okay, so when you're working on a design or you're curating a room for a couple, and one of them has good aesthetic and the other does not at all, what do you do?
Well,
This
again,
it's ugly pieces.
it's all about balance and trying to take what they like and interpret it in a way that's going to look good, you know, all together.
Yeah.
So it's you have to be tactful.
Can
And
you
you
give
have
like
to kind of
subtle
yes,
hints?
yeah. Well, you have to kind of frame it in a way like, oh, maybe I wouldn't choose that, but here's something else I think would give you what you're looking at in terms of the pattern and the feel, but maybe not the color because
Yeah.
the color matches. Like there are definite ways to massage the design to get a little more to where you want it to
Do
be.
you
So.
sometimes work with kids? Because I know, like, if you're building houses, some kids have the
Yeah.
like really weird ways they want to design their room. So how do you make it match with the rest of the house?
I think with kids' rooms, it's very important for them to give them their own space. You know, of course, you want it to look like it belongs in the house, but it's so much fun to give kids their own space because they're their own people. And I feel like for kids, it is important to kind of have your dominion because you're always kind of told what to do, and you're just, you know, your opinion's not really asked for in terms of like the big
She wanted
decisions
a
when it comes
slide
to
in
the
the room
house.
and we said no.
Oh,
No
well,
slides in the room.
stuff like that. I mean, there's like practical things, but like wall paint and art and
Yeah.
fabrics and like having cool stuff that you love in your room. I think is so important, and I love doing that.
So, are there limitations to working with the builder? Because you might just be working with certain, say, designs places like, say, tile. You only have one
Right.
place to go to because they have tie-ups with these companies. So, is it hard? Is it difficult on your creativity?
I don't think so. I think creativity is working with what you've got
Yeah.
and being able to pull off a look using what you're given. And I've always prided myself in being able to do that with, I mean, pretty much anything. My entire house, none of it was bought retail. Everything is either secondhand or Facebook Marketplace resale. You guys, I'm addicted. But anyways, I think working with what you've got, working with what you can find, and creating a space that's you as an individual is completely doable on any budget. Now, when it comes to builders and working within their frameworks and vendors, again, the limitation is only your imagination. You know?
Yeah.
But as a studio manager, I can come in and I can say, okay, we have these vendors. I'm going to curate what we sell in the studio to kind of give it a different look, a different vibe than what that we've chosen in the past. So I love that role, being able to kind of pick what we can sell.
So, do you work on the pricing side of design as well, or
It's
no?
mostly curating the options.
Okay.
Pricing a little bit. Mostly that's our purchasing department, but I can say out of these, seven cabinet options, we're going to offer 4 in these colors, and out of all the things Moen offers, we're going to have these 12 kitchen faucets, or we're going to have these lines of bathroom lines. So, but in terms of pricing, it's kind of not up to me. I just don't work like the look.
Tell me, for those of us who are building a house, if we go to an appointment, and of course it's by appointment where they spend like almost a whole day with you, helping you pick out your kitchen, your bedrooms, your bathrooms, everything. Is there ever a chance when you go to a builder where you say, oh, I don't like this sink, but you don't have this sink, get me something else out of what you're selling? Is it even a possibility?
It just depends on really with builders, the reason why working with a builder is kind of easier in a way is because there are limitations.
Yeah.
When you're working with a designer and you're building a custom home, everything is a possibility.
Okay.
Everything.
Got it.
Which for some people, it's like you get the paralysis of choice.
Yeah.
Like there's so much out there. Like you could look for sinks all day, every day for a week, and maybe you find one you like, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
With a builder, you have a designer who comes in and they curate what's offered.
Yeah.
So chances are you're going to find a certain sink you like, from all the selections. It may not be the holy grail sink you had in mind, but it could be something that's comparable and works for you. I think, and in that regard, builders do kind of create efficiency. They can build a home faster because they are limited to what they offer. They're used to using these products. They're used to installing this kind
So
of
they're all
stuff.
tried and tested.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the benefits of working with a builder as opposed to going completely custom.
Yeah. No, we used a builder here as well when we were building this house, and they were quite flexible in terms of design options. I mean, if they put something and we said, oh, this looks horrendous, they would actually come in and change it.
Yeah.
So that was like something that I was surprised about, and I thought builders don't do that.
Well, I mean, it depends on the context, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're not gonna, if you are selecting products that don't look good together, you know, I think your designer would have the forethought, maybe we should maybe reselect this, let's talk about how this is gonna be installed, and I think educating buyers, honestly, is the most important aspect of your job, is telling them why you want this granite over this silestone, why wood flooring is preferred over tile, you know, those types of things, to help you prevent having to install something and replace it. Yeah. Because that's inefficient. Yeah. It's costly. Yeah. You know, you want to prevent those things from happening as much as possible. So I think, you know,
in our case, it was more of a accidental thing that they lost our file.
Oh no!
So they would stick some tile up and say, "Is this what you asked for?" Like, no, no, I did not.
What hours do you work? Like usually?
Typically it's 9 to 6. But right now, I mean, as a studio manager, I'm kind of working on a major project, which is kind of any hours, all the hours. It just depends on what you have going on and really what needs to happen. So
what happens during the longer appointments that you have with clients where they're coming out of state, for example, and they land at your office at say 2 in the afternoon?
We'll do back-to-backs. Like if you've got, and this happens quite a bit, we have people coming in from out of town, and typically our meetings are 4 hours for each meeting. Yeah. But a lot of times we'll have like a marathon meeting the first day where, you know, you take 4 hours in the morning, you break for lunch, reconvene in the afternoon, kind of cover all the bases, and then the next day you come back and confirm everything, write up the paperwork, do all the diagrams, and then finalize that way. So we can adjust.
So with all the traveling that you do and all the people that you meet, would you consider your job to be a safe job for women?
For women, yeah, I think I would definitely say yes. Okay. You know, I don't do any traveling currently, but I think as long as, you know, just be careful about your surroundings when you travel. That's just a given.
So has COVID impacted your job as well in a way, because you can't really meet people? For a long time you wouldn't have been able to meet people.
We're still meeting with people. We just follow all the protocols. We wear the mask, we social distance, we clean everything all the time. We have a deep clean every Wednesday in the studio. We disinfect all surfaces, every handle, things like that. So it's impacted us in how we interact with our clients.
I was thinking it would go more virtual, where you could have like a call meeting or like a FaceTime meeting, and you can show the title. Oh, this is I'm
actually doing that right now with a buyer in Hawaii who can't travel, and it's our environment, our industry is so high touch. Yeah, it's very difficult to do things virtually. Oh, okay. It's like this client, we're probably going to be designing his house for a month because he's got the biggest floor plan. He's in Hawaii, like, you know, we have to ship samples to him or have him go find the products in the store and look at them. So it's just a lot trickier. Yeah. It's almost easier to have this person in front of you so they can see the colors. They can see how the light interacts with, you know, the countertops and the cabinets all together and the tile. It makes a huge difference, because what you see on a screen is not what you're going to see in real life. Exactly, yeah. There's always going to be that disconnect, which I think is critical for people to understand. Yeah. Because you can pick a design on a piece of paper and be like, that looks gorgeous, but then you install it and you're like, that's not what I thought that was going to look like. Yeah. And, you know, so it's just easier for us and our industry in particular to have people in front of you. Yeah. Just be safe.
Do you ever get bored doing?
Right. No. I mean, right now, and what I'm doing, the answer is no. I'm too busy to be bored, which is it's a blessing. I love being busy. I'm perfectly content being completely busy all the time. I would say no. I love what I do. I don't ever get bored because there's always something new to discover. Yeah. Always on Instagram, like looking at different, you know, interior design styles, different, you know, vendors, and it activates my brain in that way. So no.
So do you do a lot of research? When you're designing new places, do you try to find something new, more technology, more?
Well, for us, really, it's about understanding what the trends are.
Yeah.
You know, we do a lot of models, and in fact, in my first year with Ashton Woods, we're doing a total of 6 models.
Oh wow.
Back to back. So it's been interesting. But it's learning the design trends and kind of accommodating that in the studio. So
Yeah.
if for instance, black plumbing hardware or black plumbing faucets,
Yeah.
huge, black and brass. They're a huge trend.
But now things like if people want touchless faucets,
Yeah.
for example. You
Yeah.
know?
And
So
we-
that's what I'm saying.
we
That
brought those
technology
in and-
changes the way this design is impacted, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they want, say, a touchless faucet, or they want something with gas stove or something which is
Yeah.
unique or new or whatever. So I guess you have to keep up to date.
You gotta stay on top of it. You gotta stay
Yeah.
on top of the trends and, you know, trust your
So it's like a continuing
reps and-
education.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
I mean, that's every job though. You never go into a job and it's just like static, you know, where you just don't learn anything
Yeah.
new. You don't, I mean, everything is, you always want to be learning. You always want to be learning. That's like,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing I think I can impart to kids is just be curious about
Yeah.
everything. Like if you love something, learn about it. Keep learning
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Keep on top of it. And if that's what your career is, then you got to do a deep dive into all parts of it. You know, just
So
stay.
what
Impressed.
what are we talking about in terms of compensations? When a person say, I want to be an interior designer tomorrow, of course I'll have to go through the 4 years of university, which my
Yeah.
gray hairs does not
Yeah.
support anymore, but
Yeah.
I go through all the courses and I apply for a job. What am I looking at to start with, and what can it go up
It
to?
really varies depending on your market, depending on your skill set. Obviously, those that can do AutoCAD and Revit and Photoshop are going to be more valuable
Yeah.
than the designers that don't have those capabilities.
Yeah.
If you've got a license versus, and that's where designer versus decorator comes in. Like designers are typically licensed designers.
Okay.
Decorators are not.
Oh.
So that's why there is that distinction.
So the decorator cannot actually do hard surfaces in the house, right? They can't
Well, it's-
do tile and
They can. It's designers just are licensed by the state, and they can get their designs signed off on by like an engineer. Decorators
Oh.
cannot. So whenever, as a designer, you can like go into AutoCAD and you can create, you know, interior architecture, and then you have your drawing signed off on by an architect or an engineer.
yeah.
As a decorator, I don't think you have the capability.
Okay.
There's some nuances, and I think Texas is really kind of trying to figure out the best way to approach
Yeah.
nomenclature. It's
Yeah.
a huge struggle in our industry because there are so many decorators that call themselves designers and designers. You know, it's kind of
But technically, you can't call a
nebulous.
decorator a designer. I mean, technically, it's not. You know,
It's
because
like-
you're not licensed, right?
It's like
So-
an RN versus an LVN, or like a doctor versus a physician's assistant. It's that kind of level of.
I mean, there's a
nomenclature.
huge difference, though.
There's a huge difference, right? Right. So I think and Texas is trying to solve that problem.
Yeah.
It's been a
But
challenge,
despite
but-
that, what would our viewers think about when they think about pay grades? Because they would want to know. I'm just asking ballpark
Right.
figures.
Well, I
you
mean,
know?
starting out, I think I was probably making almost 30 grand, and that was just designing model homes. And that was a
Yeah.
full-time job. But this was back in 2006,
Okay.
and as a 20-something, that was,
Yeah.
first of all, it got me out of my hometown, which was
Yeah.
I was desperate to get out of. And you know, it was a fun job, and I liked it. But now, I mean, who knows? The sky's the limit.
Okay.
And as we wrap it up, what is some advice you give to people who want to become interior designers in the future?
I think just love it. Just love it. Learn all parts of it. Learn people. You know, I worked in the restaurant industry for probably a decade collectively. And honestly, I think that's the best way to learn how to talk to people, learn how to approach people,
Yeah.
learn how to put people at ease, you know, just really connect. I think that's one of the best things you can do is just learn how to connect with people and listen. And then just know what you do, know what you like, you know, stay on top of the trends, and invest in education because that's
Yeah.
gonna get you
Stay
where
in
you wanna
school.
be.
Stay in school. Yeah.
What are your special requirements, and what is it like working with people you don't know?
I think I like working with people I don't know because it's a chance to meet someone new and a chance to kind of get to know different cultures, different people, where they come from, what they're about. Like, people are interesting to me, and I love that. And it's different personalities, you know, like there's some people that come in and they're gruff and they're like, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't understand it, it's so intimidating. And, you know, then you kind of like pull out some humor and you know, you make it playful, make it fun.
So that's what you do with people who are rude as well?
Oh yeah.
Snub them with
Yeah,
humor?
there's a, just treat them with kindness, charm them as much as you can, and you know,
But are there
also highly valued skill set in
And
the
also,
design
what are
world.
your special requirements?
Special requirements for
Your job and like special things that you need to do while you have to act with customers, stuff like that.
I think, well, in terms of meeting new people and being introduced to new cultures and new people from different parts of the world and different parts of America, just understanding a little bit about backgrounds and interpretations of body language, I think is important.
Oh, wow. I never thought of that, like, you know, that you would be thinking of, body language.
Well, in
But
some
that's
cultures,
amazing.
like, this is no, this is yes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it varies. You have to
Yeah.
understand
Yeah. I agree.
different
I
backgrounds.
agree.
It's
I
just,
agree.
it's, and knowing body language and how people are interpreting you, I think is important. How you stand, how you sit, are you slumped, are you smiling, are you, you know what I mean? Are you at ease?
Yeah.
If you're at ease, then help someone else be at ease. There's also like neurolinguistic programming where you, if someone says, oh, I see what you're doing there, and then you can like, it's how they speak, and you take that and you kind of mirror that.
Mirroring,
as a
is very
connection.
important.
Like, so if you're sitting like this, maybe I'll sit like that as well. If you lean over, maybe I'll lean over. It's a way to connect. It's a way to again, just put people at ease.
I think that is so unique to think
It's
about body
incredible.
language. I mean, I think that must be one of the, should be at least, one of the basic soft skills that are required to be able to study body language in a person.
I think just, especially in this world, being able to connect with people is critical.
Yeah.
Having empathy, being able to understand where someone is coming from, to talk to them in a way that's doesn't make them combative, like becoming, like bridging the divide, you know, it's important. And I think the subtle ways, body language is a way to do it, the neurolinguistic programming is a way to do it. There's just so many ways for people to understand how to connect, and I think
being personable as well. I mean, you're such a personable person. I mean, when the first time I met, I thought I had known you all my life.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Know?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, she's so amazing. Like, my first thought was that.
Oh.
And that's when I asked you, what do you do? You know, and when you said that, oh, you curate houses, and I'm like, oh, I get it. You
What's
know?
funny though is I grew up as a very shy person. I'm very much an introvert. Like and what's interesting is being in sales, you have to kind of be on all the time, and you have to, again, your brain's constantly moving, like, you know, how are they acting, how are they feeling? You're reading the other person all the time, and so when I go home at the end of the day, I'm like, I just kind of want to shut off and don't talk to anybody, you know? You have to kind of recharge in that way. But yeah, being able to overcome your discomfort and being around different people you don't know, I think is huge.
So a personal question here, as a woman working full time, do you still have to do like what most women in the world have to do? Manage the house, manage the kids, manage the work, manage the groceries, or do you have support and help that you can count on?
I am a one-woman show. It's me, and I have my daughter 3 to 5 days out of the week. So yeah, I do have to do all the things.
Oh, wow.
But I have shortcuts. You know, I order groceries and go pick it up, or have things delivered, and you know, every once in a while I'll have someone help me clean the house. But like, it's rare. And yes, I am a one-person show. But you know, my house, not perfect. Yeah, I mean, I'm a designer, but like, it's not pristine by any means. I mean, I have a 5-year-old, so it's impossible to keep things clean at all times. But you know, there are challenges to that. But
and what about self-care? If you are doing everything, when do you get time for self-care? Maybe eat healthy, exercise, pamper yourself, like, you know,
every minute
done.
you can. And really, self-care is not about taking a spa day. It's about, let me just take 15 minutes to do a mask. Let me just, file my nails down, or, do something, paint my nails while I'm watching TV, or do something that feeds my brain, read a book after my kid goes to sleep. It's things like that. It's self-care found in the small moments. Every once in a while I'll take a vacation and, I'll go off for a couple of days by myself, but for the most part it's just the small things here.
I basically want all women to know that self-care is extremely important.
Self-love is the most important thing. Understanding
agree.
that, you don't have to live up to anyone else's standards. You can do whatever you want to do with your life. Like, love yourself, all parts of you, because you are beautiful. You do deserve good love, and you have to give that to yourself first before you can find that in anyone else.
I agree.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. This has been fun.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I have 2 more questions. What are your pros and cons, and what's the hardest part of your job?
Okay, the hardest part of my job is right now. I'll tell you right now, I'm working on doing something our company has never done before. So we're trying to design collections. So, for instance, when buyers come to us and there's that paralysis of choice. A lot of people are really intimidated by coming to the studio and having to design a home because they're either first-time buyers, they don't trust their own style, they don't know anything about, there's a lot of people that just really don't know what it is that we do. So they're intimidated by it, I think. And so our company, we're designing collections, so I will design a home and put it together in a package, and we'll say, okay, this is our artisan collection. If you love this, we'll apply it to your home. And that's what we're trying to do. And it's something that we've never done as a company, and it's challenging because it's something new. But it's also extremely rewarding because I think it's going to be huge for our company and for our buyers.
And to see something that you've created, you've designed, to see
come
it live
alive.
must be like amazing.
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible.
And what are your pros and cons?
The pros of my job is that I love working with buyers. Again, in this critical moment in their lives, they're making a huge purchase, and it's a very hard thing to do sometimes for some people. So I love doing that. I love being in the design world just because it, again, feeds my brain. Like, I love the way design impacts people's lives. The cons are there's not a whole lot.
Long hours.
Well, I mean, long hours. I mean, it comes in waves too. Like, sometimes you'll be so busy and there's all these buyers that need to get in, and it's critical. Like, you have to get home started, and we're under a schedule, and that's deadlines. Are always going to be an issue. But then sometimes it slows down, and you're kind of like, okay, well, what do you know? And another big con for me is not being able to do everything. Like, working for a builder does have a pro in that you are kind of limited into your scope. But it's also, as a designer who can like dream big, that's also kind of a con because I want to do all the things. I want to give every single buyer everything that they want, and I had to say no sometimes, which I don't like saying no. But I do. I guess it's my pros and cons.
Wonderful.
Again, thank you so much for doing this and giving us the inside scoop on how to become a interior designer.
I hope it wasn't lightning.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure the viewers will love it. I mean, I've had so many questions about people asking me about interior designers and interior decorators, and I'm like, you're asking the wrong person. And they were like, Anu, will you do an interview? Because we really want to know. So and it was lucky that we found you at the time that we found you. So,
well, I'm happy to contribute. And again, I think it's one of those professions that not a lot of people do know about, and I don't think a lot of people understand how much it impacts your life.
I agree,
So,
I mean, when we built this house, we could not have done it without the designer. I mean, honestly speaking, because one, we were coming from out of town and driving down every time. I mean, without her being there all the time, like, we could not have, so I understand. So, but thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for coming for our interview. It's been wonderful talking to Amanda Sims. She works with Ashton again. And here's a crazy dog. Come to say hello. Thank you so much for joining us today and watching our video. We appreciate all of you, and we appreciate you coming back over and over again. And we'll see you in the next video very soon. Have a great day. Bye.